With the cold weather finally upon us, it was time to make up some sugar cake for our little friends out back and switch them over from a wet feed to a dry feed system. This year, I'm doing it a little different. In previous years, I had mixed up a large vat, almost like a cake dough, of sugar and water, tried to get it thick enough, and then pressed it into forms and made little candy blocks for the bees. I had to take advantage of the fact that sugar tends to clump whenever it's moist, and just basically fill a piece of wax paper with powdered sugar, and then flatten it out to about the dimensions that I want, and hit it with a misting bottle, a spray bottle of water. If you spray enough water on it, what will happen is the sugar will absorb that water and turn into a cake. It's not necessary to get every bit of the sugar wet. It tends to migrate on its own. In addition, the natural moisture that occurs within a hive in the fall will help congeal this into a block, even if it breaks apart as I put it in the hive. So we'll put this on top of our screen boards, and that'll serve to feed the bees. I made up a total of 6 of these, so it'll be 1 per hive. And you can always add a little bit more sugar on top if need be, as long as it isn't just granular. If you were to just pour sugar into a hive, the bees will actually remove it as if it's rubble. It has to be cast into something. You can actually pour granular sugar, though, into a hive on a piece of wax paper if you're expecting a lot of moisture at the top of the hive, because that moisture will do the same thing. It'll fuse it into a block. The bees won't see it as individual particles. They'll see it as food. If they see it as individual particles, though, they think it's trash and they move it out the front of the door of the hive. I should correct one thing that I said. I think I said powdered sugar. Obviously, this is granular cane sugar that I made these castings out of. Powder sugar or confectionery sugar would be a mess. So we have it kind of semi-cast. It broke apart a little bit as I put it in the hives, but just taking some of the leftover sugar water and pouring it on there to help heal it. The natural amount of moisture in the hive, again, will tend to recast it into a big lump on top of the wax paper. And the bees don't seem to mind the wax paper either. They rip that up and push it out the front of the hive. As long as they're not doing that, though, it's still possible to throw a little sugar on top of the pile, and that will fuse into the block as well. Then what I'm doing is I'm putting my fine screen burlap insulation box on top. So the bees can come up through the coarse screen and eat the sugar, but they're not going to come up through the fine screen. On top of the fine screen, when things get cold, we'll put the burlap, and that'll help collect water in the hive. It'll also allow us to, take a peek at the condition of things without having to open the hive or dig into an area where bees will leap out and greet my face. You can see where I lifted the cover, how much water is condensing already, even though it's not really that cold out. We're there in the morning, so it was a cold night. That much water is okay at this time of year, especially considering the amount of wet feed we've given them. That wet feed they're going to evaporate and try to make thicker as they store it in the cells. So that will help us out by dripping on the sugar and helping it form a block. And when things get cold, then it's going to be time to stop that by, stuffing the boxes with burlap. If you watched last winter, you'll see that occasionally we pull that burlap out of there and replace it with new dry burlap. And that helps keep the hive relatively dry during the order. You actually want some moisture in there. You just don't want large quantities of water pouring down on your bees, or you'll chill your brood nest and possibly kill your bees off. Water level is a tricky thing to balance in the winter. You don't want too much for the obvious reasons I just stated, and you don't want too little. They still need to drink a little bit. You just want to keep it at a nice balanced level. So we have the porous screen underneath there, the sugar block, and then this finer screen. This box will get the burlap in it for insulation when things get a little colder, but right now any condensation will help congeal the sugar. Plus, at this point in time, I can actually pour granulated sugar in there, and just the moisture in the hive will cake it in real fast. So we'll keep an eye on this for a week and add a little sugar if need be. Now we're going to have a little fun with our aggressive hive. Nonetheless, they'll still get rewarded with a big block of sugar. This early in the morning, they should be kind of clustered down. And they are. This will wake them up. Hang on. Come on, man. Oh yeah, they're waking up. Nobody upstairs, because you'll get trapped there. There you go. There you go, my friends. So we have now done 5 oxalic acid treatments. And we'll see what our mic drop looks like. Had problems with this focusing. Hopefully it will refocus. I see cappings. No, they're not even mites. Okay. I'm not seeing any mites. Dark cappings. But this hive seems to be fairly free. So we'll go right down the others. Let's see. Some dirt. That might be a mite. We might have one. No, that's dirt. Oh, okay. Happy with that. Dirt. Maybe. Maybe one. That's dirt. Might be another one there. Most of this, though, is just dirt. Good. Okay. So this is phase 2. We've taken the wet feed off. We've put the dry sugar cake on. I'll probably add a little bit of sugar. And then as things start getting consistently cold, I'll start putting the burlap in the boxes to absorb moisture. Right now, the moisture will help cake the sugar. So I'm going to wait until mid-December before I actually insulate the outsides of the hives. I'm toying around right now with putting screens over the entrance reducers just to make sure no field mice get in, but they're still active enough that they would fend off any field mice. But until next week from Buzz Park.